little bit. Mr. Deputy Presiding Officer, I sat, I listened, at times I perhaps interrupted. But Mr. Deputy Presiding Officer, especially when I listened to the member from Bethel, I think Bethel, and you know, I am reminded of a powerful biblical verse, Matthew 7:8, which says, "Do not cast your pearls before swine, lest they trample them underfoot and turn to attack you." That is what it feels like sometimes trying to reason with this member. Because this member seems to lack principles in parliamentary order in this chamber. And when he's unable to treat with the substance of the motion, he then deflects and descends into the gutter, dealing with low blows, personal attacks, and we see it over and over. And you know what is so disappointing is the foul-mouthed language that comes from this. Yes, and case in point. And, you know, you would think a member who in his other dispensation, soon to return, will have a little more decorum, a little more couthness about himself. And this member continues over and over, time and time again, to come here as a big bully in this house. Mr. Deputy Presiding Officer, the main response from those opposite is trying to create the picture as though the Standing Order Committee is going to treat or slap on the hands and get this issue. There's an issue to be solved. What is the issue? The issue is that we have questions on this order paper going now for almost 2 years. And we have been trying to figure out how could we get these members to answer the questions. And lo and behold, this is but one of the mechanisms we actually got them to respond, because after a whole year, it is only when the motion was brought to this house, you have people scrambling, fumbling, and finally coming with a response to questions. That is the reality. That question that was asked about agriculture, and I just want to share with the member whose son's supposed to be shining a lot, just to answer him. Agriculture, if you want to do smart agriculture, you must know who is the clientele to whom you are servicing. And therefore, if you are admitting that you do not have that kind of information, then how could you fix agriculture? And it is no surprise why agriculture has declined under this administration in terms of its production. Because if you don't know who is producing what, where they're producing it, and how I can assist them in producing more, what are you doing? You're wasting your time. And so for the member to come here and admit that that information is too difficult an information to provide is an admittance of dereliction of duty, an admittance of incompetence, an admittance of people who just don't know how to govern and manage. That is what is plain to see just by that response. Mr. Deputy Presiding Officer, what is also plain to see is that this administration seems to be an administration that is governed by embarrassment. And what does that mean? This administration seems to react only when they are named, and shamed and when you embarrass them into action. We see it all the time on social media. If you want a job, just go on social media and tag a secretary.
Relevance.
We are talking about, they are saying, in terms of the question, the motion, that it could have been solved in the Standing Order Committee. And I'm saying no. I recognize as a member, both observing their actions, that it's only when you name and shame this administration, you get them to act. So while we are working in the Standing Orders Committee, yes, there's work to be done. And just to clarify, I want people to understand the work we were doing. We, as the Standing Order Committee, met an already prepared document that was not approved. And that provided the core basis upon which the work of the Standing Order Committee functioned. Therefore, we found it most relevant in the first instance to look at that document and really treat with the substance of that document. But we have a real pressing issue in front of us. And this is why the motion as a resolution says, in addition to all that would have been reviewed, let us also take up this issue and instruct the Standing Orders Committee, because ultimately, the House as a whole is but the body that manages and governs and oversees the entire function of the House. The Standing Orders Committee is but devolved responsibility that the House would have put upon the Standing Orders Committee, and there's nothing in the Standing Orders Committee that we cannot, as a House, resolve within ourselves. Sure.
Listening and viewing public who they want to be educated by what happens in the House.
Point of clarification.
We have.
I gave way for a point of clarification.
We have on our order. Yeah, so I'm getting to it.
No, you have to get to it because I'm not
On the order of business as item number H, subsection 2, presentation of reports from select committees. Minority Leader, aren't you putting the cart before the horse? Shouldn't you have allowed these papers to be laid here in the House from your committee? And then, just as the member, I think, for Boko Mount Pleasant said, then we have a discussion if you didn't get the support you required from the committee. You've brought it to the House. The process is not complete.
My time now, please.
The process is not complete. And so I'm trying to understand. And so I want clarity on why we didn't allow the process to be completed. Thank you, Deputy Presiding Officer.
Continue, member.
Mr. Deputy Presiding Officer, if I give way, it's for a point of clarification which should be brief.
I'm asking for it now.
All right?
Member, continue your presentation.
Thank you so much. Again, the point of this motion is because over and over a period, we have a situation where the members refuse to answer questions. And you, as a minority leader, is looking within the standing orders to see if there's any provisions that will allow you to force the hands of those on the other side to actually respond. It's like you're begging them. And why do we have to beg them to do their work, which is respond to questions? What do you have to hide? Because if you don't have cocoa in the sun, you don't have to fear rain. And it's only people with something to hide will so deflect to the point that in this motion, they have admitted, they have not basically denied that they refuse to answer questions, I want to beg on you to understand that. What they are saying to me is that I, as the minority leader, should have brought up in a standing orders committee this issue and tried to force their hand, but even that would not have worked because the report is not even approved. The standing orders have not been amended, so therefore the problem would have continued, and that's why I came here today, is to get them to respond forthwith. That is the substance, the crux of the issue. We have too many questions going for too long that deserve an answer. And why would you not just answer? Why you are hiding behind standing orders? So if the silent, you are saying to all of Tobago, wherever the standing orders are silent, but require you to act on behalf of the people, you will not so act unless it is in here. And what that speaks to is about a people who lacks principle, who lacks ethics, and who lacks good morale. Because if you're supposed to do the right thing, whether someone tells you it is the right thing, or once you know that is what is good, once you know that is what is proper, I do not have to go in a standing orders committee to besiege you all, to answer simple questions. And to try to throw it back on me, the minority leader, like if I am doing something. You'll swear I am the one committing the abominable act against the people of Tobago. You are the one not answering. You are the one who failed to respond. But yet you're coming to tell me, somehow, I am the one who is culpable because I didn't bring it up in a standing orders committee. This is about strengthening the institutions of the assembly. And if there's an opportunity to strengthen it at any point, if it is now or then, whenever it comes, an opportunity to strengthen the institution, I think we all, as reasonable members of this assembly, should welcome the opportunity to strengthen the assembly where there are gaps. We all admit that, one, the THA Act by its very nature is imperfect. And so is its standing orders. And as we go along from time to time, you will spot areas of the standing orders that just simply need to be addressed. And in some instances, it may be more, one issue may be more urgent than the other. So this is a very simple motion. It's a motion if you have honest people will admit that there are questions outstanding that should be answered, and those who know that they are culpable should provide the answers. That is the first resolution. If you are one of those who are so identified as not responding to questions, simply provide the answers. And in the second instance, we acknowledge, because we acknowledge it is the standing orders ultimately that needs to be refined. And if, as you are agreeing that it should be dealt with in the standing orders, all we are saying is agree that we will refer this issue as one of other issues to be considered. But let this be something now that the standing orders committee knows that we have to take a look at. That is the simple basis of this motion, not to come here and describe me in all kind of derogatory terms, because I bring something here to help all of us. And help the House, strengthen the institution. That is a democratic parliamentary institution. We all spend thousands to go in CPA and discuss how we make the parliament and our institutions, our committees stronger, more rigorous. And now when you come back here, you're basically disregarding it. Some of you all go on fancy photo shoots while we're out there. So is it that you're not taking what we went there for as the real mission? Because if you vote against this motion, it tells me you do not care about strengthening this institution. And we're wasting money sending people out there. And with these few words, I thank you and I beg to move that this motion be considered.